Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to this Monday's Wealth Creation Show. Today we're going to talk about don't kid yourself. Jim, this is going to be quite a good one. I think a lot of people, the question to ask yourself really is, have you ever thought that you could be kidding yourself? Or when it comes to maybe your professional or your personal life, do you sometimes lie to yourself? Because I think if we're all being completely truthful, the answer's more than likely yes on some occasions. People do it all the time, and sometimes they bend the facts to fit maybe a self-image or perpetuating a view of themselves that is often more positive than actually accurate. Social media and things is quite a good example of that. So today we're going to go through and explain how and why maybe we like to kid ourselves.
I think a lot of people kid themselves every single time, myself included. You know, you tell yourself what I've always said before is you rationalize everything. So you know what rationalize is? It's just telling yourself rational lies. You know, to understand what you are. It's not the greatest subject in the world but I think first of all you have to understand where you are right now in order to build on to move forward. And if you keep kidding yourself every single day, that is in some sort of delusional world about how things are happening for you, then it'll never change, Richard. It'll never change for you. Anybody out there, it'll never change for you at all. I've been through this all before, and I still find myself now and again, just now and again, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, what are you saying? What are you talking about? You know, and it's this voice in your head. My voice is called Bubbles. You know, that's it. The voice in my head is called Bubbles. We all have that little voice that talks to you. What makes you think you're so special? That voice.
Yeah.
And now and again, I just tell Bubbles, shut up, Bubbles. Sit in the corner and don't say a word.
Yeah.
Because everything's coming at your mouth right now is bullshit.
It's not the easiest subject to cover, and I think probably for most people, because it's a wee bit maybe a reality check, and a lot of it will probably hit home, because like you say, we're all guilty at some point in time, kidding ourselves, maybe telling white lies to ourselves to make ourselves feel better or portray ourselves differently. And I think really in order to be who you want to be or get to where you want to go on your journey and things, you really need to be honest with yourself. And sometimes
the Instagrammers.
Yeah,
the Instagrammers are
easy. It's not easy.
You know, it's the TikTokers. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the TikTokers on the other channel. It's like it's the TikTokers that are at fault here. It's the Instagrammers. It's the Instagrammers, the TikTokers. It's the people that live this deceptive life. This like, look at us, all these beautiful pictures of us, all the children together. We're all sitting on the bed. We're all in our nice white robes, you know, all looking beautiful, and the lighting's right, and the makeup's right, and all the rest of it. And then when you take all that shit off, you're just like anybody else.
Yeah.
You know, the classic example of deception is that time when you used to go to the disco and you'd see a beautiful person, you go, oh, they look really nice, and then you possibly see them the next day in the morning, you think, holy shit.
Well, the lights
well, the makeup and the eyelashes and everything had disappeared. It's like, what's going on? I love and women, and this is just a personal thing for me. I love women natural. Yeah. I just want to see how you see it. I don't want the gloss and the glitz and the glamour with it. I just like natural people. I like people to be natural themselves, because it brings out the best in them, and you see the best qualities in them, and you will attract the right person. It's for you as a result of you being natural.
Yeah.
If you're not natural, you might be attracting the wrong person. There's a lesson itself.
Everybody's got their own natural beauty, and I think it also resonates with certain people, and that's how you find your right person. And you get these people, you see it in celebrities and things, and they were beautiful anyway, but they've got that wrapped up in this self-image and how they portray themselves, and they've ended up ruining their whole face and all these fillers and all the rest of it. I mean, I've seen people really ruin their looks that way, and there's no coming back for that.
Beauty. I mean, beauty itself, you know, don't kid yourself, is a really good one to talk about beauty in itself. Yeah. Beauty is really within. It's you will attract the right person as a result, if you want to attract the right person, as a result of who you are within, not what you project outside. What you project outside is probably going to kid the other person, thinking this person is someone I believe aligns with me and my values. However, what you're doing at that one point in time is you're giving them a false impression. This goes to men and women, or anybody else out there of any gender, of any whatever. This goes to everybody. You will attract more than likely the person it doesn't align with your beliefs and values, because it's all based on superficial.
Yeah. I mean, it comes to the nitty gritty and the hard light of day. That person's not who you thought they were.
Exactly. And remember, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
That's what they need to see within you, and not all the false perceptions and what they see. And it's a classic, you see the jokes and the comedy sketches about when the person turns up to meet somebody on a blind date and go,
that's not what your profile is.
That's not like your profile. And that other person goes, it's not like your profile either.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're kidding.
Beauty and self-image is a really good one. But today we've kind of broken it down into 6 kind of main areas to cover, and the ways that we use self-deception to make ourselves feel better. And as we go through each one today, I mean, various people might come, obviously, to us and people watching. Various people might come to mind and make you realise that many people in certain professions and things use these forms of self-deception on a daily basis. So now it can be said that self-deception is effective as a coping mechanism. They do say that people do these things as a way for people to cope and keep them from falling prey to their feelings of maybe helplessness and depression and things as well. So overall, it's a tool that we use to kid ourselves, but it can really cause problems.
You've hit the nail on the head. Look, for example, at Facebook. Mm-hmm. You know the needy people out there on Facebook, because they immediately drop a time, a truth bomb or whatever it is. It gets people to go, "Oh, you're all right. Are you okay? I'll message you, darling," and all the rest of it. And it's like you're just making it worse for them. I know, and I'm not giving any real big advice here, but sometimes you're just making it worse for someone else, because you're teaching the dog to chase the sledge.
Yeah.
They're looking for attention, they're looking for affirmation, and by giving it to someone, it's just leading them into that false sense of security. It's probably like the singers that aren't the really good singers, and their mother and father say, "Oh, you're brilliant, you should be on," and their aunties and uncles, "You're brilliant."
The X Factor.
You'll be the next Gareth Gates. You'll be the next Will Young. You'll be the next, whoever it is. And it's like, oh, wow. And then they end up on X Factor, and they go, or the Britain's Got Talent, and they go for the audition. And Simon Cowell goes, "Who on earth told you were a great singer?"
Yeah. And shoots them down in flames. Yeah.
And it's like, you need to have a word with your mum then, because your mum's just led you right up the garden path. So there's positive affirmation, and there's just kidding you. There's just kidding people.
Yeah,
it's just it's no great to keep that delusional thinking going, and it's actually good to take stock of where you are right now, and actually realize where you are. Because I keep saying, I mean, we're talking about this is a wealth creation show, okay? Yeah. Normally, people would associate wealth with money.
Yeah,
but no, that's not the money will be a byproduct of what you do well. Now, what you're doing right now is we're talking about don't kid yourself, because once you understand the dynamics behind that and you understand yourself from within, because this is what this is all about not kidding yourself, you understand you know how you operate in the most efficient manner possible, and you'll know the triggers which will trigger stress, and you know all the things that will actually show you that you're stressed. I was listening to Stephen Bartlett this morning, and he was saying things like he gets spots on his face when he gets stressful. He has a spot on his tongue, apparently. It appears on his tongue.
Really?
Yeah, when he gets stressed, he has a spot. It's not appeared in years. I have wee blisters that appear on my fingers. Yeah, when I get stressed. So I know I'm hyper stressed, and that's all the wee things that tell me. I don't know within I'm stressed, but I just know it because I know these things. But I've learned how to manage all that now as a result of what I do. Therefore, completely stress free.
Yeah.
A lot of these things just wash off me now after a conversation. We've had these conversations privately, Richard. We'll have a quick conversation, and then that's probably the end of the conversation, and then it makes it a lot better, and it's a lot easier to manage.
Yeah. So people watching might think that quite often, like, obviously we talk about a lot of stuff, and people, like you say, might associate wealth creation, it's all about money, but it's not. It's about you, and if you've not got yourself and your health and your mindset and everything in the right place, like I done a vlog this morning talking about being a letting agent, and what I said in that was, it's not just all about letting houses, it's about people and building relationships and mindset and, you know, building your knowledge, and there's so much more to it. It's not just about letting houses. And likewise, like you say, there's a lot more to wealth creation than just money.
This is what brings me to rationalization. Telling yourself rational lies.
Yeah.
We all do it, often accompanied by denial.
Yeah.
Rationalization is used to justify loads of things. It's really loads of things we do when we know we're wrong.
Yeah.
But we don't want to be wrong. So your natural defense mechanism, what we call your reptilian part of your brain, flight or fight response, which is within your brain in the middle somewhere. It's never actually evolved over the years. It's still flight or fight response. It actually goes into protection mode, and it starts to rationalize everything around about you, and starts to, you know, oh well, it would have been like that anyway, or it would have happened like that anyway, or I would have lost. I would have lost anyway. It's like so that justifies you not going in for it then, because you would have lost anyway. So you've actually lost before you've begun. That makes no sense at all.
You've just set yourself up for failure, yeah.
Set yourself up for failure straight away. This is what somebody said to me. I said, okay, so your tenant pours oil down the sink and the sink gets blocked. Who's responsible for it? And I went, absolutely the tenant, because they got it. Was what the sink wasn't blocked when they got it.
There was no oil doing it there.
So it's the tenant's normal responsibility. And this person went, oh, you're so naive. I went, no, I'm not naive. I'm just not accepting the fact that I'm not paying for it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. And I says, obviously you've given up straight away, and you'll be naive enough to just accept the cost. And this comes down to experience. And I went, like, this is 30 years experience. And I mean, you got 30 days of experience. That's the sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's not accepting. It's the other one. I was talking to someone the other night about strategy. I know their house is valued about 160 to 170,000. And in my mind, it's like, what do I need to do to put a strategy together to get 200,000 out of somebody? And they're like, wow, do you think you could actually do that? I went, I don't know, but I'm going to sure as hell try.
Yeah.
Now, that's not delusion. That's what do I need to do in a strategy in order to get 200,000 for a £160,000 property. That's 25% more in this current marketplace for a property. Now, this is a one-bedroom bungalow. Can be developed upstairs because next door has done it. And when you walk out the back, it's got uninterrupted views right across the harbour to the Wards of Firth of Forth and across to Berwick Law and the May Isle. So why would anybody not in a million years? And it's ready to move in. Finished a real good standard as well. So ready to move in. Potential and the rest of it. So I could get that across in a video, definitely. You can't get that across in words. Definitely not in words. You can't get across it in pictures. You can't get across it in silent movie, but you can get that across in a video.
Yeah.
You can actually explain that to the other person at the other end, and you don't know who that person is, but you don't know who's got that money and who's out there at that point in time looking to buy that property. So it's about not telling yourself these rationalizations, the rational lies. You know, a job seeker who here's a good one. You actually wrote this here, Richard.
Yeah.
A job seeker who lies on their CV to get an interview, validates it with their candidate criteria is unrealistic. That's the only way I'll get a chance to get to prove I'm the right person for the job.
And I see that.
That's how they do it.
Yeah,
they validate it by doing that. Somebody that lies on their CV. You know, oh, it's like I'm really good for the job. I'd be able to do that job, no bother. But it's like, so you'll just rationalize it and tell a lie in order to get the job. I tell you what, you'll soon be found out.
Yeah, if you're embellishing things on a CV and portraying yourself as something that you're not, that'll definitely come out in the woodwork.
It's effectively just taking a shortcut.
Yeah,
somebody's trying to take a shortcut, and they're trying. Now, some people, every single person I know has done that in the past with us, Richard, is no longer here.
Yeah.
Because they've been found out at some point in time. It's like, nah, you couldn't do this job.
So you said you've done this. And
yeah, you said you had experience in this. You said you had experience in that. So where is it? Because I can't see it.
Yeah.
And it's literally that's what they've done. They've just lied. So here's a question for the audience.
Yep.
What have you rationalized quite recently to make yourself feel better about a choice or a decision at work that deep down you knew was questionable?
And I think
I'll be interested to see if anybody else. I'll be interested to see if anybody else puts that in the comments, or especially on Facebook and YouTube and that, because it will stay there. And TikTok it won't. So TikTok, this is your opportunity to cleanse your soul, and let's have your confessions. What have you said on your CV recently? It's not really the exact truth. TikTok, don't let me down. I need these answers.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to get. I mean, I'd be really interested if everybody starts running to the comments and chips in here, because I'm sure we could all think of something. Maybe if it's not just fairly recently, but over the years, you know, there's bound to be something you thought, God, I really fudged that, or I really like that was just kind of.
I'm not really sure if I've done it ever, Richard. Really, I've certainly done it to get mortgages. But let's not talk about that.
I was supposed to leave that on record.
I've certainly done that to get lending from the bank. Bending the truth.
Gary's using his golfing example there.
Yeah, this wasn't my fault. It took 5 shots to get out of the bunker, and a hole 4 this morning. It was due to the wet sand. Well, we all know it's due to proper technique, isn't it? They want to do that shot. Yeah. But what we do blame somebody else, and that's what Rationalise is all about. Yeah. You know, it's always someone else's fault except mine. You know, your marriage is split up, okay, so it's your partner's fault. Well, it's not really. It's not just your partner. There's something that's caused the partner not to see you as the ideal mate anymore. You're not the ideal partner for them anymore, and that's down to you. That's down to who you are and who you have become as a result. That could be excessive drinking. That could be excessive gambling. Yeah. That could be habits that you've adopted that they never ever knew anything about it. You kept well hidden until it came out and manifested itself in stress.
Yeah, I think in relationship breakdowns in any aspect, whether it's obviously, you know, working relationships, personal relationships, things, if things break down, for the person to step back and be like, I've done that wrong, I've done this wrong, do you know, and take responsibility for your part in things. I mean, it's not always easy for a lot of people to do, and still, some people still kid themselves and say maybe it wasn't their fault, or are open to sharing the responsibility, something like that. That's a difficult one for people.
I don't admit when I'm wrong to Elaine, my wife. It's like I can't, because
then she'll go, anyway.
then she'll go. I know that, and because of this, that, and that, and I went, hold it. You didn't need to beat me up mentally about this. I've already beat myself up so much about it anyway. I don't need somebody else to chip in with. It's, you know, that's the sort of thing. So I'm very critical to myself in terms of where I lie as well. So you know, in the past, I'm not really sure if I've actually done it, especially in a job, because it's like I've always been quite critical of myself anyway. So I've never really seen the point of embellishing the truth. I probably learned at an early age. I was quite lucky, where I probably learned when I was a lot younger, before my teenage years, you know, constantly getting into trouble and realizing, you know, out of the basically the rationalization and probably the lies that you spoke at that time. I realized earlier on, you know, telling a lie just leads to another lie, just leads to another lie, just leads to another lie. And the next minute, you're knee deep in lies. And then it has no benefit for your health at all, does it? It just puts you more stress on you, because then you try to cover up. We're trying to make sure, what did I tell that person? What did I tell this person? What did I say to that person? And then it comes out unconsciously. Sometimes you'll then give the game away by saying certain things, and then the other person picks up on it and thinks, wait a minute, that's not what you said the first time round.
Yeah.
They don't tell you though, but they hear what you've just said. That's the key. So for God's sake, don't rationalize things. Just be honest with yourself where you are right now.
Yeah, rationalization and kidding yourself and using things to justify where you are or what your abilities are. You really need to be honest and transparent about that. Now, the next one, this is really good. So the better than average effect. Now, I was looking at this. So people need to ask themselves where they are on a scale from 1 to 10. Okay. Now, with 1 being totally socially inept, and obviously that's fine, and 10 being the best. Okay. Now, I looked, there were studies and things done with this, and the average response is around about 8 or 9. Okay.
I'm always 10.
Yeah. But even when people are comparing themselves to really successful and socially skilled individuals, they're still coming in at like 8 and 9.
Yeah.
And so this would obviously tell us then that most people have social skills better than the average, which is impressive, or there's a really large percentage of people who are really just kidding themselves.
Of course they're kidding themselves. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm the best at this and the best at that, and it's like I'm better. I'm the better than average is a really good one. Or better than average. It's like, well, I'm not really interested in if I'm better than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't care less. It's difficult for me to say because I spoke to a customer this morning that says, unlike our competition, and I says, I'll be honest, I don't really like even referring to them as a competition because nobody's my competition except me. Yeah. I have no competition except me because it's uniqueness of me and no one can replicate that. So you have no competition really. So I don't care what anybody says about an estate agency and a letting agency and in business and your job, people at your work. You're not competing against anybody else except you. And that's how you should be looking at it. You should be working on you being the best version of you could ever be every single day and what you need to do that. Yeah. Not kidding yourself and thinking, well, I'm better than them, and that'll do. Oh my God. What, you're just settling then?
Yeah.
I'm just better than them. What if they're shite? Oh, I'm better than them. It's like, they're shite. I love that word, Nice Scottish word, shite. Yeah. What if they're crap, It's like, oh, I'm better than them. It's like, at least I'm better than them. Oh, what? Just better than crap. So is that just average then? Is this just okay? It's like I would rather be striving constantly to be the best at what I want to be and how I want to be and who I want to be. The person I want to become.
Bracket, yeah, of anything that you do. Yeah, and the I'm better than average thing, that mentality, it is quite popular. And studies and things show that like around about 86% of people in studies, especially in like professional atmospheres and things like within workplace, managers and things believe that they have more, they're more ethical than their peers. So there's a lot.
How do you think people get off on putting other people down? Mm-hmm. Because I'm better than them. That's what that's all about.
Yeah.
If I put them down, it'll elevate me higher. But what they don't realize is actually that it's putting them down as well. All you're doing is it's a false economy. It's a false thing. It's a false mindset. You're not thinking right when you do that. When you put another person down, you just show everyone else how low you are as well when doing that. There's no need for that. So attacking somebody personally, maybe for what they do is a different story because it's what they're doing rather than the person themselves. But a lot of people get off on that on social media. You see that the keyboard warriors, I just call them trolls, to be honest. It's like, why are you on my timeline talking about something which is completely irrelevant to what I'm talking about right now? Bugger off. Go somewhere else. I'm quite intolerant today. But that's it. It's like, it's my timeline. It's my audience. Mm-hmm. Okay. If whoever that person is, it's like, go and get your own audience and start your own thing. If that's the case.
If you've got something to say or you want to be like that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's people that feel they need to do that. I've got a wee mortgage broker, a wee naff boy. It's like, he seems to have a wee grievance against me. I don't know why, because I don't even know him. But but it's like I commented to him the other day and I says, what relevance has that comment got to do with what I've just said? It's got no relevance at all. Go and put it on the main post so everybody else can see it rather than actually comment on my bit, on my thread. There's no point to it. It's like people on TikTok that come on and say things that are completely irrelevant to what we're talking about right now. Yeah. Why do you need to say that? Why do you feel the need to say that? Does it make you feel better? Putting other people down or upsetting other people or annoying other people. Oh, I get a real kick out of that. Wow. Got a real inferiority complex there, haven't you? You get a real kick out of that. Think about that.
It's true, though. It is. And a lot of people really need to question sometimes their actions and what they say and how and what they portray, how they portray themselves on social media is quite it's quite a good example for what we're talking about today. But yeah, let's obviously be honest with ourselves. And I mean, how many times have people or anybody watching thought to themselves, I'm better than them, or I'm better than my co-workers, or better still, maybe, and like we see, a lot of managers and things in jobs think they're better than their peers. So when was the last time, maybe if you are in a manager's position, maybe in your job, that you've contemplated maybe you're better than your boss? Do you know? Because a lot of people have this feeling towards their boss, and to justify it to themselves, they think, I'm morally better than them, so that's so it justifies me obviously talking about them. Do you know,
there's always one when you go out for a drink. There's always one when you go out for a drink. It gets absolutely plastered, and then they want to spew all their verbal diarrhea at their boss. It's like they sit there and go on about how they're, my boss doesn't know this and doesn't know that, and he can't do this and she can't do that. And it's like, what do they know? I'm better than them. And it's like, well, sober up and say it to them to their face then instead.
Yeah,
because you probably won't. You'll run scurry right away back under your rock and hide there until you're drunk again, won't you?
Yeah.
But hey, listen, understand this. I have been there way in the very beginning. We're talking about 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah. I mean,
I understand why someone thinks like that and why someone acts like that. You don't need to be like that, but you need to take ownership of why you're like that and understand what you need to solve in your life to be different to that. That's the key. That's why everybody always thinks it's like, this is why everybody has addictions. This is why everybody's an addicted gambler, because they need something else in their life to actually give them a thrill. This is why they're addicted to alcohol, why they're addicted to going out all the time, why people are addicted to sex, because they need to be affirmed, they need to be needed, they need to be loved, and that's the way they think they should get it. This is what all this comes from. Don't kid yourself. There's something in your life, it's happened to you, not wrong with you, it's happened to you, that you need to resolve in order to allow you to move forward and have a better quality of life and more understanding from yourself and from within.
Yeah.
Because as they all say, when the oxygen mask drops down on the plane, make sure you sort yourself out first before you can sort someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's very true, Jim. And I think,
ask the audience a question, Richard. What is the question for that? Just to finish off.
There's a few questions as we go through these different points, and I think if you're watching, take note and maybe think and answer these questions. And this one is really, I mean, when it comes to you and whatever you're doing, or whether it's in your job or your profession, are you really as good as you think you are?
I am.
I knew you were going to say that. But
I've always been like this. People that know me know that this is all tongue in cheek. But I tell you what, though, you have to have a really good self-image of yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need to be delusional about it, but you need a good self-image. But you need also to understand, this isn't me being completely delusional, thinking I'm better than everybody else. Yeah. No, it's just a healthy self-image is good for you. It allows you to move forward, but not a delusional self-image. And this is why we talk about what we're going to talk about next is probably the illusions of control.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness, God, I could write a book on this. I could write a book on this, how people go throughout their lives, myself included, and the need to be in control of a certain situation. This is when we think, in spite of all the odds, we can manage the outcome of a situation. Oh, it's mental. When you're splitting up from a partner, it's like, I'm going to control what they're going to do next. I know people that have actually split up from their partners. They've married other partners and they still try to control their ex-partner's life.
That's crazy.
What's all that about? That's you're not right in the head.
I know.
That's crazy. That's just like, you need to go and see somebody about that. And it happens. It does happen, and you just don't realize it. You don't realize it's happened. Here's an example. Many people in their day-to-day job think that they'll do their job well and stay under the radar. Then they should be able to keep their job as long as they want if they stay under the radar.
pull through and
but
stay under the
I'm
radar.
pretty sure that a lot of people who use the self-deception tool have possibly learned the hard way that that really doesn't work, because when it comes to the cut, you're the first person out the door, because you're nothing special, because you've sat under the radar all your days at your job. So don't sit under the radar, stick your head above the parapet. You may get eggs thrown at
your
you,
comfort zone,
but more than likely you'll get eggs thrown at you from the people round about you, because they want you to be just like them, average.
and I think that's a
Below
big
average,
fear.
actually.
It's a big fear within people, and especially in workplaces and things as well. Do you know, you all just want to kind of, like you say, stay under the radar and do that. And when the one person pushes themselves out their comfort limit and does better and then actually gets recognised for it, and it's like, oh, look at them, brown nosing, and you know, come on. And that's the type of thing that happens.
That's exactly what you've just said it there. Look at them brown nosing. God, they're halfway up the boy's backside. It's like all these different things, and that's because they would want to do that themselves, but they're too embarrassed to step out their comfort zone, and they're too uncomfortable to step out their comfort zone, because so they actually try to put someone else down.
And hold people
that's what
back.
that's all about. How come I never got the promotion? Well, it's because you sit under the radar all the time and you don't actually do anything. You don't do any additional work. You don't actually chip in when it's needed. You're not a team player. You're just in isolation. You don't help anybody else. You don't look after anybody else. You don't do anything else outside of your normal day-to-day. You're a 9-to-5er. That's it. 9-to-5er, Monday to Friday. You're never going to get rewarded for any of that unless you're outstanding at what you do in your job, like me. I actually worked out in the whole year so far since April, because you've not seen the numbers yet.
I've no idea.
I've actually worked 10 weeks more
than like the 9-to-5.
Than the normal 9-to-5. Yeah. 10 weeks more in the whole year since the beginning of April last year. 10 weeks more. Imagine having 10 weeks more productivity.
I know.
So isn't it any surprise that my career went from trainee accountant to financial director in such a short space of time? Because that's all I did. That's all I focused on. Isn't it any surprise that we've gone from just an estate agent to the #1 estate agent 4 years in a row? And it's like, you know, these things just don't happen by accident. It's because you don't have this illusion. You don't lose this, and you don't become delusional about, you know, what your position is, and you don't hide either. So step out your comfort zone, move forward. Yeah, it might be that uncomfortable in the beginning, but you'll benefit from it. If you're uncomfortable at doing something, just remember you're growing and you're learning, because you've never done it before, and that's why you're uncomfortable.
Yeah, I've learned that throughout the years. The more you push yourself, and the more you push yourself into situations where you feel uncomfortable, ultimately, it's a direct relation to how more successful you're going to be.
Reptilian brain, you know, it's never grown and never evolved since prehistoric man sitting in there. We've all got it. It's never changed. It's an enigma or something like that. I can't remember what it is. It's just this wee tiny bit of your brain. It's just reptilian brain. It's just flight or fight response. So what it does is it tries to... Yeah, that's it. It tries to protect you. And it's deliberately trying to protect you by saying, oh, that's really uncomfortable. Maybe you shouldn't be doing that. Because maybe, oh, you'll be embarrassed. Oh, what will everybody else think? Who cares what everybody else thinks?
You just need to learn how to overcome that.
I watched a fantastic film the other night. Watch it. Pom, Diane Keaton, and various other of her pals.
P-O-M.
P-O-M, Pom, 2019. And it's about Diane Keaton, she's 70 odds.
Yeah, I know who
decided she wanted to be a cheerleader when she was younger, and she went, to hell with it, I'm going to be a cheerleader now. So she retires to an old folks, you know, living community, and this is her. She gets the rest of them, so 8 of them, 7 other pals together to actually form a cheerleaders group, and they go in for the cheerleader competitions, and it's all these different things. To hell with everybody else. It's like we're enjoying ourselves, and at that point in time, personally for me, I could see myself in the audience going, get in there, and actually being the one cheering for them, because it's like that's the sort of stories and the inspirational things that you want to watch. That's the sort of stuff you want to get in your head. You don't want all this morbid, You know, oh, you'll embarrass yourself, stuff in your head. I remember one of my cousins, it's like he was telling me the story about, you know, he was going into the London Marathon and he's not really much fit. And one of his colleagues, which he holds in high esteem, says, well, you better make sure you get a good time because you don't want to be embarrassed. And he went, well, I'm only doing, it'd probably take me about 5 hours to do a marathon. Oh, maybe you don't want to go in for it. Sorry? Don't go in for it in case you're embarrassed to get in 5 hours. There's folks sitting on the couch doing hee-haw. That person he's probably speaking to has never run a marathon in his life. And he's telling him to not be embarrassed to be doing a marathon in 5 hours.
That's crazy, yeah. That is.
But you see how that comes in?
Yeah.
People want to control you. And do you know why they want to control what you do? Because you'll show them up.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why they want to control what you do. Because you'll be the one that shows them up. They don't want that. They don't like that.
There's a lot of people in the world like that.
Definitely. So it's hard learning firsthand when there's no such thing as full control in certain situations. And even in the instance of job security.
Yeah. And that example of job security.
If you're wired and fired and you're continually learning all the time, job security is always there for you, no matter who you're working with. You know, I've gone through my life where people are, you know, I've actually left most of my jobs because I've realized I'm redundant now. A trained monkey could do what I've just done because I've put it all together in a systematized process. So basically a trained monkey could do this now. You don't need me anymore. So I'm off to somewhere else. But there was one occasion where one of my bosses came to me and said, Jim, I've got to let you go. And I went, stating the obvious, I had engineered everything like that to save the company. Basically, you know, we stripped the workforce back to what it was. The company is still going today and it's still alive. It would have folded if I hadn't done that. And there was no need for me to be there anymore. So when he said, oh, you're going to make me redundant, it's like, yeah, great. Okay. 2 weeks later, I was a financial director. It's like, so you lost your job as a financial controller, and then 2 weeks later you're a financial director.
But that was, you obviously had that expectation that like obviously you knew that the position you were in, so you kind of you knew it was coming.
But I didn't expect it to happen. I wasn't really expecting anything, Richard. It's the very fact that I understood why he was doing it. I felt remorse in doing it, and it's like, fine, no bother. I'll go do something else because I have the full security of knowing that what I know and what I can do and what I can deliver is valuable to someone else.
Yeah.
So easily, I'll just go and do something else with someone else and help them on their journey. It's as simple as that. If I'm not doing this, I'll just do something else. It's fine. I'm okay with that. But what they didn't know at the time as well is that I had my buy-to-let business.
Yeah.
So I was earning more than I was earning at their work outside of my side hustle.
Yeah.
So it was like, why am I bothered? It's like, well, we're paying you off. Yoo-hoo! I'll get a holiday.
I'll get a wee bit more time back.
That's what having your side hustle and your buy-to-let business and your property business alongside your job does for you. Not giving up your job alongside your job. Build your wealth. The 3 things I advise everybody to do is have a job with a really good employer that you like, because that gives you security.
Yeah.
But also your side hustle and what you've got coming in, you just need to keep reinvesting that, don't you, every single time?
Yeah.
You don't need it for your job because your job provides for your living. This provides for your lifestyle. So you keep compounding that and reinvesting it. And then your pension is a great tax deduction and a great booster in income over the long term. Because as soon as you put money in, you either get 20% or 40% uplift in terms of relief if you're a higher rate or a low rate taxpayer. Depend. Where can you get that type of return? Nowhere. You cannot get that instant return. I'm in retirement age right now, okay? So I could retire tomorrow. If I put £40,000 on my money, I would get an instant 40% lift on that. And then I would be able to draw out 25% tax-free immediately. Cha-ching!
Yeah.
Where am I going to get that return overnight? You're not. It's impossible. Oh, crypto.
No, not crypto.
Crypto.
Definitely not crypto.
Oh, I had some nut job on talking about how crypto's returned 700%. Is it returned 700% for you? Well, no. Well, did you invest anything in crypto? Well, no. Well, shut up then. It's like, who cares? Tesla if I'd invested in Tesla, hindsight's a great thing.
I know.
People talk about, it's amazing how many people talk about we. What do you mean we? You never even invested in it. Somebody else invested in it, but you, as the we, didn't. So stop going on about we. We could do this. We could do that. It's like, we invented penicillin. Well, no. It was it wasn't you invented penicillin.
No, it was God, I can't remember now.
But do you know what I mean? The television John Logie Baird. Penicillin, I think, was Alexander Graham Bell, was it? No, I'm not really sure if it was or no. But that's my point. I'm amazed at every single time how people say, we've done this and we've done that. Well, you've done nothing. Somebody else that's exceptional at what they do have done it. Don't take the credit for them. So go out and prove something for yourself and then say it.
Yeah, before we move on, I just noticed Alan has jumped in my question here, Jim. He's like, would you recommend putting money into a stocks and shares ISA as an additional long-term strategy?
Oh, Alan, I am no financial guru or anything like that. But personally, for me, the things that I do right now is I've got my day-to-day job, it's which I do in a state agency. I've got my business that I own, which develops wealth over a period of time as well, and pays, and it's linked into my parent company, which has other businesses into there as well, which is a good tax-efficient method. I also have obviously my side hustle, which is my property business and the property I'm buying right now. But I also have a pension because it's a great tax deduction. I'm not a great believer in ISAs. It's like, you may as well just have a normal savings account, because you're getting £1,000 allowance every single year in interest, personal allowance on interest. So if you're allowed £1,000 interest to make every single year, then I'm not really sure why you would want to keep it in an ISA in that wrapper, because it's tax-free anyway if you're earning less than £1,000 in interest. Stocks and shares, in terms of what I would think, stocks and shares is viewed as category 6 in investment purposes. Category 7 is the highest risk you'll ever get. That's China, international stocks and shares. So most investment houses look at it as category 6. So for me personally, stocks and shares is a long-term thing, not a medium to short term. I don't think. For stocks and shares for me personally is my pension. I was talking to Elaine last night. It's about pensions and stuff like that, and I said, when the market crashes and it halves your pension overnight, it's like a big deal. Because in 5 years' time, it'll have recovered back to where it was. So you've not lost anything anyway, because you're not cashing out.
In it for the long term.
Yeah. But I tell you what, when it does half, buy. Because that's the type of things I do. When the stocks, when the FTSE 100 drops like a stone, it's like I'm in there like a flash. Where's my cash? What can I just get it in there in stocks and shares in the FTSE 100? Because it's a no-brainer. Because it recovers every single time. And since the last, I think, 20 years. Last 20 years, it's given a return every single year on dividends of 4% or thereabouts. So you've got your appreciation in the stock value, but you've also got your 4% return in dividends. So you're increasing wealth over a period of time. And if you've got it in your pension, it's tax free then.
Yeah.
And then when you build that wealth, you can draw 25% of that down tax free, and you can just leave the rest. You don't need to draw it down just now. You can just leave it where it is. So, and then the great thing about having that in a pension is the fact that it's in a private pension. Therefore, when something happens to you, it goes to your estate and goes to your children. Rather than being in a defined contribution, not a defined contribution, a defined benefit, which is a company pension. And the old style company pensions, like if you work for 40 years, we'll give you 2/3 of the salary you couldn't afford to live in the first place. That's what it is, yeah? If you work for 40 years for us, we'll give you 2/3 of the salary you couldn't afford to live in the first place. Well, thanks for that. It's like, no thanks. I'll just have my private pension, and I'll take my money and transfer it into that. For me personally, that's what I did. And we did that for Elaine as well, because there's no point, because it disappears with Diageo when Elaine and I go and the kids don't get it. And it's about 150 grand. It's like, I'd rather have it for us, and we're not using it now. We're just keeping it growing over a period of time. So that's where I stand in terms of these things, the 3 things I always think to myself. Because my business, I can get easy access to cash, because I keep quite a lot of cash in my business, cash reserves. So I can get easy access if I really want. I can just take out a bigger dividend. In my day-to-day job, I live on what I've got, and I'll live within that means. But my long-term pension is just about, worst case scenario. It all goes to pot.
You've still got that to fall back
It all
on.
goes belly up. Well, I've got my pension anyway. And
Yeah.
between the pension and the house, there's $1 million. So it's like, that's all right. Yeah. I'll survive on $1 million.
I'm sure you'll be all right, yeah.
I'll survive on $1 million in worst case scenario. That's the sort of thing. That's why I'm not particularly bothered, because if you've got that as a fallback, then why would you bother about anything else?
Yeah, that's great. Well, hopefully that answered that for you, Alan. And that was some insights into, obviously, stocks and shares and ISAs and things as well. Back to, obviously, the topic, kidding yourself. And we are looking at the self-deception, the different things that people use as self-deception. And we're going to look at basking in reflective glory, Jim. So the self-deception tool explains that why we are drawn to those with maybe great amount of professional success. Because people are generally social animals. We spend much of our lives seeking out and managing bonds with other people. So it should come as no surprise then when we're trying to feel good about ourselves, we frequently call to mind our illustrious associations with basking in their obviously reflective glory. So people that are successful, we tend to kind of reflect their success as onto our own and kind of pass that off. And that's what obviously basking in reflective glory is.
That comes back to the we.
Yeah, the we thing. Yeah, that you
we. What do you mean we? You never did anything. It's like it's them. It's no me. It's that sort of thing. And people like the power of association, so they like to do that. And sure, they like to brag about their association with other people, with winners. People love to be around winners. Yeah. That's really what it comes down to. And it's so true. Why is it that people love to share their conversations with higher ups as a way they up their own worth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, there's no doubt about it. Look, I really want to talk about Richard Branson, but it's like when you talk about Richard Branson, all of a sudden your status is elevated because you've spent time with Richard Branson.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately people associate with you. It's like, wow,
with a more successful person. Yeah,
they must be a lot more successful in my mind than I actually think, because of that power of association. But you get like the people you associate with, remember. Yes. So if you associate with wealthy people, therefore it does rub off on you, and therefore you succeed as a natural byproduct of it. You're destined to succeed by hanging about wealthy people. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah.
You hang about wealthy people, you're destined to succeed, because it starts to rub off on you and your mindset starts to change as a natural result and byproduct of actually hanging about wealthy people. If you hang about wannabes, you're going to be a wannabe.
Yeah.
You're going to be a fanboy for some of these property trainers. Let's be honest. You're going to be a fanboy. You're going to be an ultimate fan. Oh, look, I'm friends with these people and all the rest of it. It's like, they're not bothered. They just want your money. They just want you to buy a course from them.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, be a fan of mine as much as you want, because it just attracts more people to me, and I'll make more money as a natural byproduct to that. So, you don't want to be a fanboy or a fangirl or a fan, whatever you want to be. You want to be yourself, and you be careful of running about in that reflective glory and actually you taking the credit for someone else's success. But do associate with wealthy people or people in the field that you want to be successful in, because it will rub off on you. It is the power of association.
It's true as well. I was just going to say that, because you notice that people, they're so quick to associate themselves with people when they're on a high and they're successful and things as well. But then they tend to downplay their involvement or their association with people when things maybe start to go wrong. Do you know? It's like,
I know, that happens every single time. It's like, look at Jeffrey Epstein. Flavour of the month.
Yeah.
And the next minute, it's like, he's been touching girls. It's like, young girl. Whoa, wait a minute. No, nothing to do with him. Right. Prince Andrew straight away. It was like, whoa. I don't even know who you're talking about. Wait a minute. You're walking through the park with him in a photograph. having massive conversations after all this was announced, and you're telling me you don't
any
know
accountability or
involvement. Everybody wants to be associated with these people until something dire happens, and then it's like the pariah. They're away from them straight away. Just don't associate with them in the first place if that's the case.
Yeah.
If that's the way you think and that's the way you are, you probably need to realign your thoughts and your beliefs with a more moral stance, I would say.
Yeah.
Just hanging about somebody because they've got money,
no,
isn't the right thing to do. They need to align with your beliefs and your thoughts, you know, and the way you are as a person. Or you need to reprogram yourself to align to them if they are successful in any sort of way and you want to be about them, because they'll soon find out that you don't think like them, so they'll gravitate away from you.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you need to, like you say, obviously you're saying associate with people that are successful and wealthy and things, and then you will, as a natural progression, see that. But I think you need to be open to the fact that you need to have your beliefs need to align. You need to be prepared to obviously learn from them and take a lot from them in that aspect, not just to hang around.
Phil Spencer.
Yeah.
Like, power of association. Hang about with him. Somebody asked me this morning, what's Phil like? And I went, he's absolutely brilliant. I mean, Phil and I have, met about 7-8 times, maybe more than that, actually. And every single, Phil has no idea who I am. But you see what I mean? Who or what do you like to brag about as a way to improve your credibility? Phil Spencer.
Do you know what we noticed about Phil the last time we were down in London and things? It was you that brought it to our attention. And mind, we spotted him kind of behind the scenes before he come on stage, and he was doing the whole psych up thing and getting himself obviously wired and fired to get on the stage, which I thought was really interesting to see. Obviously, not everybody could see him, but we did, and I thought that was really good.
And then I tap him on the shoulder and go, "You nervous?" And he went, "I wasn't, but now I am." I thought I would just throw a spanner in the works. Get in there, Phil. But you see how that happens. Who have you actually done that? And my one is definitely Phil Spencer. I've worked at that association, definitely. This is when it comes to a downward social comparison. So what happens when a person we view as our equal suddenly becomes more successful than us?
Yeah,
this is a classic.
When somebody overtakes,
how do we react, and how are we faced with the reality that we really aren't really better than average, because this person now has elevated them to a higher success. This is what I talk about crabs in a bucket. Crabs are very social, and they will. This is what exemplifies this. So what happens is when a crab in the buckets, you put crabs in a bucket, one tries to climb out of that bucket, and the rest of them will pull it back in. And if that crab keeps trying to climb out of that bucket, the rest of the crabs will kill it rather than let it out the bucket. Is that not a bit like your peer group sometimes, when you elevate yourself above them, when you actually start to learn more and start to be more successful as a result? Here's the phrase. Listen, this is what it is. Some people want to see you get ahead, but not ahead of them.
Yeah.
They don't like that, because what it does is it shows up their faults and the fact that they couldn't do that, and
you've overtaken them. Yeah,
because I guarantee if they're that type of person, they'll be talking behind your back about how inept you are to other people. So then what happens is when you elevate you to higher success, then they go, "Ooh, that makes Lee look a bit daft."
Yeah.
So they try to pull you back down as a natural result. So sometimes these are the people, and this is what I talk about the boosters on the rocket. Sometimes you get, you take off in your rocket, and these people are with you in the beginning, and they'll fall off to the side, and you'll probably never have any contact with them ever again, because that's the type of person they are. But they manage to get you to that point, and then they're no longer part of your journey. And then it's up to you to find new people to get higher and higher and higher. And that's what it is. But some people will constantly come with you, like you, Richard. Like you and I. It's like you're still here. A lot of these other people have fallen by the wayside.
Yeah.
But you're still here as a natural result, and you enjoy the successes of being an owner in the business, and also being a director of the business, and the associate remuneration that goes with that. Because you've hung around, and you've You've helped me succeed, and
I've helped you. Right way to say that, yeah.
No, you've helped me succeed, and I've
helped
you succeed. Yeah. But other people that have come before that have been involved with us, sometimes didn't want that to happen because they're not that type of person.
Yeah.
Within them, they're what Stephen Covey would say is selfish. They're all about self. They just think about themselves. They don't think about anybody else. They don't think about other people and how it'll affect them. Their decisions are all based on themselves. Downward. That's it. So to start with, they compare ourselves to others, to at least successful people we know. Sometimes there's nothing like other people's struggles to make us feel better about our own plight. Yep. This is how people like. This is how people like hearing about other people's struggles. Our own financial challenges, for example, never seem so bad when we see other people in a worse situation. Yeah. When you've been to places like Kenya, you appreciate every single day after that. I'll tell you.
I was watching.
Like, when you've been to these places like me, it's like, holy shit. It's like, I have got everything just to have a shirt on your back and to be able to wake up with central heating every morning and never have to have a really, it's like, oh, I've got so much financial woes. I thank God I've got financial woes, because I tell you what, in Kenya, you'll be wondering where your next meal's coming from. Yeah. And it's not even going to be a nutritious meal, more than likely.
Yeah, I was watching a program at the weekend. It's Simon Reeve, and he does all these. He goes all over the world and things. And he was in South America, and it was back in 2022. It was anyway. It was through pandemic and everything, and just the living conditions and what they had to go through. You should think yourself very lucky. But
yeah, and then there's a prospect as well that you'll never actually. No, I've lost my train of thought. Right, let's move on. Okay. I just, you caught me in the top. It's like, for example, what had happened right there is I realised that I didn't actually go live on Instagram. Okay. I forgot to hit the live button on Instagram. That's why I lost my train of thought. I went, I wonder if I go live, it'll just collect it all from before. I've got a funny feeling it hasn't. But that's another story. There you go. Even I make mistakes. Okay, so this is the question you've got to ask yourself. When someone you view as a peer is doing better than you professionally, do you react by spending time with folks you feel certain will always be one step behind you?
That's a good question to think about.
Ooh, that's a really challenging question.
Ultimately, you're changing who you associate yourself with to make yourself feel better.
Lucinda actually says, having lived in Egypt, I'll always appreciate our country in a different way. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, you don't realize what we've got on our doorstep. To have things like the NHS, to have free, and in Scotland, exactly, free education. You got the Caribbean, and 11 years old, that's your free education stopped. And everything after that in the Caribbean and Jamaica, you've got to pay for. And your healthcare, you've got to pay for as well. It's like, my God, no wonder they're in poverty. No wonder they don't go out at night, and Stacey get attacked. I mean, flipping it, we can walk about the streets here, no bother.
Yeah.
So you don't need to worry about things like that. So you've got to appreciate what you've got. But as I said before, this is a really good question to challenge yourself with. When somebody you view as a peer is doing better than you professionally, do you react by spending time with folks you feel certain will always be one step behind you to make you feel better? That's the Duff, isn't it? You watch the film The Duff? where the good-looking girl goes about with two other lassies that are not quite as good as her,
just to make her
look better. Yeah, and guess what? You're the Duff. That's what that is, and it's a horrible way to look at things, but a lot of people live their life like that, and they don't realize they're living their life like that. But the people that are actually watching them realize that, and they keep away from them.
Yeah.
So if you and here's a good marker. And if you've maybe not got a lot of friends on Facebook, there might be a reason for that.
Yeah.
Not all the time. Sometimes it's by choice.
Yeah. Sometimes it's by choice. But you notice a lot of these keyboard warriors and things don't have a big friends list when you click on them to see.
Yeah, the trolls. The trolls, you just look at them, they've got about 5 friends and that's it. That's their circle. Because they're a troll. Nobody the only people that want to be around trolls are other trolls.
Yeah.
And they get a good kick at each other, messaging each other. Oh, look what I did here, look what I did here. Oh, aye, okay. Live your sad life. There's no dress rehearsal. Wait till you get to your deathbed and you'll realise how you've not played the right hand. Let's say it like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then,
we call it self-handicapping, don't you? But we also call it self-sabotage.
I think the last thing you covered, and it is, I mean, it's last, but no means least. I mean, self-handicapping is when you choose to actually sabotage your own performance to ensure your ego stays intact.
I've done that plenty of times. No, nothing to do with my ego, but just to get excitement, self-sabotage. So self-sabotage is a great thing that a lot of people use, especially highly strung people. No looking anybody to particular. Especially highly strung people are always wired and fired all the time. We like to self-sabotage things, and we self-sabotage to get excitement. I've learned how to live with that and how to avoid that. Boring pays well. Just remember that for the exciting. The entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm starting businesses every second week. It's like, I bet you're actually making any money. No, but I'm starting businesses every second week. At some point, it might be successful. Well, it's only going to be successful if you actually stick at it. So if you keep starting businesses all the time, you're never going to be successful in it. Do you think Elon Musk actually loves every single day he goes into his work? No, he won't. But he knows he has to do it. But overall, he likes what he does because he probably wouldn't be doing it. But if he has a greater purpose and a greater outlook for humanity itself, he wants to be that type of person. That's where he sees himself. But a lot of people actually do that. They self-sabotage to keep their ego intact. They'll sabotage a relationship in case they get hurt.
Yeah.
Sabotage it before I get hurt. It's like, because I can't take the hurt. That happens quite a bit.
And use that as the rationalisation and the reasoning for themselves.
To protect themselves.
Yeah.
To protect themselves.
I put an example in here, and obviously about self-handicapping or self-sabotaging, and it's quite, and it actually kind of runs through to me when I think about being young and at college and things. And it's like I remember Thursday night was student night. You'd go out on a Thursday, and you'd stay out late, and you'd have an assessment on the Friday, and you'd think, oh well, if I do it and I pass, that's quite good. I was out all night. I was running on, the last day. And then if you do fail, you could justify it because you're like, oh, I was out last night. That's what was.
Yeah. Well,
that's a good example.
It's maybe because you just didn't study.
Well, that maybe that.
That's probably what it's down to. Yeah. It's the fact that you didn't actually put in any preparation, any work. Yeah. I used to say to my boys and Tony, my children all the time, I used to say to them, as long as before you go into an exam, that you've done what you need to do in order to get through the exam, it doesn't matter what mark you get at the end. It doesn't matter if you fail. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you pass. It doesn't matter what exam result you get. As long as you've applied yourself and you've put the hours in to do it, then that's the only thing you should worry about.
Yeah, it's a good way.
Nothing else. The result doesn't matter. It's the journey that you've taken to get the result. The result's just the icing on the cake. That's all. But it's only one person's interpretation at that one point in your life about how successful you are, according to them.
Yeah.
A fish can swim very well, but if you judge it on its ability to climb a tree, it will go about thinking it's stupid for the rest of its life. And that, my friend, is exams.
Yeah.
That's why vocational is quite good. Learning outcomes.
Yeah.
Learning as you go and actually getting tested as you go, rather than actually just one overall result. Because this is all down to retention. It's like, how many people have brain retention? It's how many people have got learning difficulties now? This is quite interesting. Now, this will be a real one for other people out there to understand. Watch Diary of a CEO. There's a one on there now, actually, and hey, it's no my words. It's this doctor's. Apparently, obesity and diabetes together quadruples the possibility that you might have an autistic child.
That's interesting.
It's nothing to do with hereditary. It's nothing to do with your genes or anything like that. It's a proven fact. So why are we not getting told this in the mainstream media?
Yeah, I know.
Because it doesn't resonate with someone that wants to give you a pill and sell you a product, does it?
No.
That's why it's important to actually watch, interact with things like that and actually learn and keep being a student of life. And actually, not just in what you want to do, but in other fields, and listen to other more successful people and other experienced people, other professional people in their own right. And, these professors and these doctors and all the rest of it, they know what they're talking about, but they don't get put to the forefront because it's not profitable. There's no money involved in it for the people actually putting them in the limelight. There's no money for somebody to put that on the television, is it? Because the advertisers will go, whoa, wait a minute, I do what advertising alongside that.
We're staying clear away from that.
He's talking about ultra-high processed foods that are actually causing a problem, causing autism. It's like, I don't want to advertise alongside that. That's the people.
Like you say, Jim, I think it's really important to listen to people throughout life and learn life lessons and that aspect, and not just think about learning and things from an academic point of view.
This is great because look, I really genuinely think in 100 years' time somebody will resurrect us and watch it of my family, coming on, and it's great to think in 100 years' time they'll hear that statement about what I just said about autism, and they'll probably go, "Oh my God, they actually didn't realise that at that time." Because it's not hereditary. Because how's it going up 2,000%? In the last 20 years,
something causing that, and obviously it's the relationship between
it's nothing to do with it was never diagnosed, because it was always there. The diagnosis was always there. This is what he talks about. So there's no 3 or 4 generations that's happened in the last 20 years of this family. So this is what they've got it down to. The fact that it's a lot to do with diet and exercise. And why exercise as well. This is this would be a great one for another show. How exercise is the very fact that because you're not exercising and because you're not actually pushing your body to do anything, your immune system's turning on you because it's got nothing else to do, so it turns on your body because everything's engineered out of your life. He actually said he talked about what did he talk about? He said it'd be interesting to see how the COVID babies that were born in COVID, who were actually put, like sterilisation and all the rest of it, and how their health will be affected later on, because he says more than likely their immune systems won't be as developed to other people's immune systems because they never played in the dirt. They never got, they never had all these germs round about them for their immune system to build and help them and improve them and protect them.
But they were barely outside, some of them, for the first year.
It's quite concerning how we don't look at the world how it should be, and we pick up on information that we're fed from other organisations, how they want it to be. This is key here. Look, people, wake up. Take the blue pill. Get yourself out of the matrix. This is a common example. Students say, you're right. And in the working world, people do this all the time too. Anyone who's put off a tough work assignment until the 11th hour is guilty of this. In fact, they're more or less self-sabotaging is most common way people hold themselves back by advancing their career. And it's easy to validate a lack of career progression when we undermine our own efforts. We start to blame other people. We start to blame, it's our boss. My boss just doesn't appreciate me. It's like they don't see what I do, and it's like, well, they don't see what you do because you don't actually do it, and you're not really doing anything as such. And that's what highlights it. Probably the last one for me is currently a question for the audience out of this is really, have you ever justified your inability to move forward in your career based on outside distractions? In other words, it's my partner, it's my personal commitments, it's my family. This is what I talk about a lot of the times. It's when I get objection from people about, but I need to be there for my family and my children and all the rest of it. And I'm like, well, are you not supposed to be doing this for them in the first place? It's like, are you not supposed to be creating this wealth in order to benefit your children? So by you not doing this, therefore you're not creating this wealth, and you're justifying it by saying, but I've got to spend time with my children, but you're doing it for your children. So it's that quandary that people put themselves in. I used to get that a lot when I used to do network marketing. I used to show the plan to people, and all of it, I want millions. And it's like, I'm not prepared to pay that price. It's like I now love my job. Well, wait a minute. All the way through this, you were saying you hated your job and you couldn't stand your boss. But now I've told you the work that you need to do. It's all of a sudden I've made you love your boss. I should maybe just send him a Valentine card from you. It's amazing how that changes. We used to be change agents for people who changed them from hating their job to loving their job, because all of a sudden they realised the price they had to pay to get the success that they really wanted, and they weren't prepared to do that.
Yeah, I think we've covered quite a lot of good points today, and I think so now that we all know in which way we could potentially use self-deception, the question still remains, I think, really, what should we do about the avoidance of the actual truth? And while we should recognise how it holds us back, we should also understand that it can be helpful too. Obviously, the real task psychologically may not to be totally banish self-deception, but to make it work for you. Make it work for us to enlist it when we need it, when we maybe feel threatened, and let it go when we're ready to face the facts and be truthful with ourselves. So should we always evaluate ourselves in relation to those of inferior aptitude? No. Well, grow complacent and develop an exaggerated sense of competence. But sometimes a dash of downward social comparison is just what we need to bounce back from maybe a failure, or maybe the better than average effect will do the trick that we spoke about. So I think really, for me, it's to be honest. And with these 6 topics that we covered, the self-deception today, are you better than the rest of us, or don't you use, or do you use self-deception?
I've been doing that all my life, I suppose. Up to, I've got a head start on you, 20 years. But the reality is, that's what I've come to the conclusion. It's like I have recognised over all these years that I've been guilty of a lot of these things. But I've managed to recognise that. But then that's all about reading the right books, listening to the right podcasts, having the right mentors, and also listening to the right people. People like Tony Robbins and that will actually change your life for the better. Well, we are huge turmoil but then you'll realign you back in line with your beliefs. And once you're congruent with your beliefs and your morals and what you actually truly believe in, then life becomes so much easier for you overall. And I think that's where we can close the remark about, life's a lot better on your terms and not actually somebody else's terms. But you're the master of your own destiny. And as I said, don't kid yourself.
Yeah, that's definitely, we're all human. We make mistakes. It's identifying that and being truthful with yourself. And like you say, Jim, don't kid yourself. So that was good. A lot of good insights today. I hope everybody enjoyed that was watching. We, of course, will be back next week at 12:30 as usual. And we'll leave it there for today, Jim. So thanks for that. And thanks everybody who's been taking part in the questions and that today.